where are you limiting yourself? Where do you feel you have no self-worth? Because when you run up everything to the limit, that means you feel overwhelmed in life, and that is what is projected out into your finances. So you need to go through every aspect of your life and look at, where am I overwhelmed? Where am I doing too much? Where do I need to change my direction and my energy so that things can flow smoothly? Another thing is, if you're a person who hoards, who doesn't spend, and who holds on to things, we have to remember that money is an energy. It's just a frequency. And if there's something that you want, go get it. Yes, sometimes it has to be out on a limb, but as you go through life and you start putting out more energy towards the things that you want as a goal, more energy will come into you. It's kind of like when you have a closet full of old clothing and you really want new clothes, but you have no place to put it. Well, once you start getting rid of your clothes and giving them away, then you have room in your closet for the new clothes. And it's the same thing with money. Old money stagnates. You need to get it going. I'm not telling you not to save for things that you want or to have a cushion. Yes, that's important too. But to not have any progress or to stagnate your spending and your expenses, this is not a good thing for you. Keep everything moving in a flow that is easy for you to deal with. Another person writes in, I'm on a loop. How do I break the cycle? Well, stop what you're doing. Stop doing those cycles, the old things. See where you create negativity. And remember, human beings spend a lot of energy creating negative situations. You could take that same energy and create a positive situation. So look at the actions that are repetitive, that have led you to this stagnation of a loop in the cycle in your finances, and see where you can stop the flow of that negative energy and redirect it into something new. Look for new directions all of the time. Another person writes in, I want to change my money situation for good and be able to come to the April seminar despite the world being all about debt. Well, Janet, I think you have a special link that you're going to give it to people out there.
In a little bit, we're going to do that. But first of all, we want to be sure that they get the information that they need.
Okay. And so when you want to change your money situation, as I said, remember that money is energy. So look at where your personal energy is going. The money is simply an outgrowth or a representation symbolically of your mind pattern. So you must look within yourself to see where you're stagnating. Where do you have patterns of abandonment, low self-worth, self-punishment, even programming issues that keep you down at all times? These must be removed. And a person writes in, every time I make some extra money, some unexpected expense pops up, and that takes it and then some. Well, what is that? That's sabotage, because it's like what my mother used to tell me as a child, which was a terrible imprinting. She would say to me, sing in the morning and you'll cry at night. So I was always afraid to be happy because I figured, well, I'll have to pay for that later. I never realized you can be happy all of the time and there's no punishment for it. Well, it's the same thing with money and expenses. If you have a mind pattern thinking, well, if I get extra money, I'm going to have to just send it out somewhere, something else is going to happen. Well, that's exactly what you will create. And when this person says, every time I make extra money, well, then they're going to create the situation where the unexpected comes in, and then they have to send it out in an unexpected way. So don't expect or anticipate negativity with your finances. Expect only good things. Outpicture the end result of what you want. You want a car, you want a house, you want new clothes. See yourself in them. See yourself using them in living color. Make it as perfect as an image as you possibly can imagine, and then put that image in brown and ground it. And then you put yourself in brown to let the image go on its way so that it can go through the universe and the energies and then come back to you in the most appropriate manner. Another person writes in, no matter how hard I try, I can't find a job. Well, that is a problem that people have been writing into me about for the last couple of years. Well, don't participate in this unemployment. Consider creating your own work. If you listen to the news, if you read the newspaper and it tells you how hard things are and how difficult it is to find work in certain fields of business, then that's going to imprint you to think you cannot have it. Don't pay attention to what other people tell you. Don't listen to the news and to the flow of events in the world, because if you do, you'll get caught up in it, and then you'll get in that repetitive cycle. So what I tell people is, if you can't find a job out there, make your own. I want you to think about whatever it is in life that you love to do. It doesn't matter what it is, and it doesn't matter what the income is generally for that kind of work. But no matter what it is that you love to do, and you could just do that every single day, that's the kind of work or career that you want to have. And so I want you to imagine, even if it's, cleaning the street or washing toilet bowls or being a chef or working in a bank, whatever it happens to be that you love to do, that's the kind of job that will bring abundance and prosperity. And why does that work? Because when you're happy in what you do and you look forward to doing that every moment of your life, that creates abundance and prosperity. In most of the Western world, I'd say a good 70 to 80% of the population out there works in jobs that they hate. They don't like getting up to go to work. They don't like doing what they're doing at work. They can't wait to rush out at whatever their hours end. And that creates a very heavy, dense energy in their life that filters down into their finances to become heavy and dense as well. And so then they can't spend what they need. They can't get the income in for what they want, and everything is a struggle. And speaking of a struggle and a conflict, it's also important that you live in a location that matches your frequency. Because if you live in a place that does not match your frequency, then life becomes a struggle and a conflict, and you're just trying to survive every day. But when you live where your energy matches the local area, then you blossom and you bloom, and that represents prosperity and wealth. So I need all of you to look at where you live, look at your frequencies, and of course I do that on my geographic locator reports, and you can look at, say, okay, do I really belong here? Am I happy living in this location? And it's not just the geographic location, but it's also your home, your neighborhood, the section of town that you live in. You need to be happy in all those categories across the board. And if you are, then you can create wealth and prosperity very easily. But if any of those things disturb you, your neighborhood, your home, something within your home, then right away you put a block on the energy, and wealth and prosperity cannot manifest. So please take a look at your personal experiences and your personal circumstances and see where it is that you need to change or make improvements. Now, the next question is, I'm about to lose my house. What should I do? That is a very important issue going on globally, but especially in the Western world, industrialized world. We must remember that the house is the mansion of your soul. So you feel like you're losing your own identity or your own personalities. You need to ask yourself, what boundaries do I have with other people? Am I surrounded by energy vampires who take and take and take and give nothing in return? Look at where you are and where you're not being yourself, because when you are not true to your own identity, that's going to extrapolate to your home, which represents your personality within. And then if you're losing your self-identity, you can lose your home. It doesn't matter if your mortgage is worth more than the selling price and people are just walking away from their homes. In California, what's happening out there? All the houses are worth less than the mortgage, so people can't even sell to pay off their debts, so they're just walking away and abandoning. What is that a mind pattern of? It's a mind pattern of abandoning their self-identity, saying, I don't want to be who I am, I'm just going to leave my life. And then they try to become something that they're not, and that's even more of a struggle. Janet, should we get into the 7 steps of wealth and prosperity?
Well, we could go ahead with that, I guess. We want to be sure and give people a chance to kind of digest what you've said, because you've said a lot in a very short period of time. And we have a lot of people with a lot of issues out there, so we just want to make sure that everything is clear. And I know some people have had problems joining us at this point, but we will be sending you the link when it's done. And I know we have had a few technical difficulties, so thank you for your patience. We're getting everything worked out. But I think it's good that we let you know and understand that regardless of what's going on out there in society, that it's really an opportunity for you to overcome and not to be put down by what's happening. Because people have a tendency to buy into what's being put out on the newspapers, and they're being told what the unemployment figures are, the housing sales are, and so on and so forth. Well, you alone, you are one person, and one person can make a difference, and you can pull to you whatever it is that you need. There are so many people who have absolutely everything that they need. If you look at the upper echelons of society compared to what the average person has, they're doing quite well. And as I told you before, it doesn't really matter what the economic times, it's the mind pattern that creates what comes to you versus what society as a whole is putting out. The society is still functioning as a mass mind pattern or a group mind pattern, and you are working your way to becoming individualized, meaning that no matter what happens out there, it does not have to affect you unless you choose to let it affect you. Now, when you're in the middle of things and it's rough, then the question that comes into your mind is, well, it sounds good, and you know, what she's saying is great, but that's not the reality of my world. But again, you know, go back to our books, read Montauk Alien Connection, read Blue Blood, and you will see what we have been through. There have been more times that we have either lost our home or been on the verge of losing our home. And we have had to make the decision, do I want to keep doing this the rest of my life, or am I ready to let the mind pattern go? So when we dug in our heels and decided we're ready to let these mind patterns go, that's when everything started flowing for us. It's a challenge, but it doesn't mean that it's not a challenge that can't be overcome, because the point is these are the blocks that you place out there for yourself so that you can turn them from a block into a stepping stone to rise up and go beyond it without being affected by what you're being bombarded with, to prove to yourself that no matter how thick or dense the energy is, that the personal power of your own mind can cut through all the dense energy out there to create what you want, that you have the opportunity to connect to the limitlessness of the God mind. You put your foot forward, you connect, and you let nothing stand in your way, because you are now a surpasser rather than just a survivor, and you deserve to have fun in your life, entertainment, enjoyment, happiness, much more than what the media would outpicture or paint for you. It's up to you. So with that, Stewart, why don't you go ahead? We have outlined 7 steps that will help you get to where you need. So if you're taking notes, take notes. If you're going to be listening to the link, you can fill in some of the spots yourself as we get moving. So, Stewart, go ahead with number 1.
Okay, but first, before I go there, I just want to say after we do these steps, we'll get to some more questions. And these are the 7 steps that Janet and I have used in order to change the mindset of poverty and lack into prosperity and abundance. And so we know from firsthand experience that it does work. So step number 1, and this is the hardest one, take responsibility for what you have done. And that means you're not going to say, I'm in this situation because the government created a bad economy, or because there was a flood, or because the weather destroyed the crops and the food prices went up. You're not going to blame external events or other people for what you have created, because you know what? The world and everybody in it are playing a part that you're giving them. So you must take responsibility for what you have created in your financial situation and in every situation in your life. So that's number 1. Take responsibility for your current situation. Step number 2, organize your debt. See where it comes from. Your home, your credit cards, monthly expenses, your car payments, your food, the utilities. Make a list of everything that you send out from your bills and your monthly expenses, everything that goes out, make a list of it. Organize it into categories so that you can see where your money is going. Most people have no idea where their money goes. I mean, I've seen people with their checkbook, they don't even write the check number down, and they don't even know what the check was or how much it was for, and at the end of the month they're getting all these notices because they're not paying attention. You need to organize your debts, and when you make a list of them and you look at them, you'll say, wow, I didn't need all of this, and I could have changed some of that, and where's the other things that I need? So you're going to find room where you can eliminate some things so that you can add other things in. So that's step number 2, organize your debt into categories and see what you're spending every month. Step number 3 is your income source. Categorize that. Are you the only one working? Is there no one working at all? How are you creating the energy of your income or the energy of your life, which becomes your income? Look at all the sources of your income, even the smallest amounts like the interest on your savings account or the money you won at the football pool or whatever it is you're beyond your salary and including your salary. Make a list of all of your income sources because you can see then where it is you can make changes in that. It's very important then to match the income sources with the organized debt and see where one outweighs the other. And hopefully you have more income than debt, but on these days, what happens when we have more debt than income? The balance goes to credit card. That's how we pay for it, by using credit for money we don't have, and the companies who have credit cards, they're the ones making the money, and you're the one getting screwed out of all that. So step number 3, organize your income sources. Step number 4, where in life did you develop the mind patterns of low self-worth and punishment, self-sabotage, etc.? Look at where in your life these things began. Like I told you in the beginning, mine came from my childhood where I was imprinted with having lack all of the time. Now, step number 6, out-picturing what you want. And what I mean by that is, as I mentioned earlier, see all of the images of what you want to create, car, home, money, whatever it is that you want. And you know what? Do not limit yourself. Whatever you want, a house in the south of France, visualize that. You want a penthouse on Fifth Avenue, visualize that. Do not limit yourself and think, oh, well, that's not really for me. That's like for some, other people. You can have anything in the world you want. You want a Rolls Royce, you can have a Rolls Royce. Anything. Abundance and prosperity is your birthright. It's what you deserve. So see it clearly, put it in brown, put yourself in brown, and live as if you have it. And when you do your prayer work and your meditation work, thank the God mind as if you already have received it. What many people do, making the mistake with this out-picturing, is they forget to release all the junk from the past, which is what I had in step 5. So you're going to do your release work, and that opens up the energy door or the room for out-picturing what you want to fill in the negative spots that you've released. So number 6 is out-picturing. And then number 7, very, very important final step here, and that is accept the positive energy that you've created. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people go through all these steps and get to the end and they create the most wonderful situation for themselves, and then they leave it. They just can't handle it because they don't accept the positive. They just don't feel like they deserve it. And that's because they only half-heartedly did the first 6 steps. So number 7 is you accept everything that you create for yourself without guilt, without fear, without resentment. You accept it and know that you deserve it, no matter what anybody else tells you, because there will be people out there who have their jealousy issues and will make you feel like you don't deserve what you have created, and that's their issue. Don't make it yours. Make sure that you stay in violet during all of these steps to filter and protect the energy that's around you. Janet, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Well, I think that you've given us a good outline of things to do. Again, it's practice. These are steps that we're sharing with you right now that we've used, and we do them daily. And this is one issue with society as it is today, that there are so many distractions out there that you're pulled this way and that way, and so you're looking at this list and it may seem a little bit ominous to you. But the important thing is that you're making an effort and that you're moving forward and that you have a goal of where you're going and you reach and attain that goal versus feeling like you're a victim of society. And that's really the point that we want to get through to you. And even I realize we've had a lot of technical difficulties. We've had people in and out of the phone call. We're learning just like you are. This is important. And what happens? This is a very good example. There's a lot of sabotage that goes on. I'm getting emails in from people saying that they can't get on, that they're having issues, that they didn't get the link, because we're trying, and that's always the first step when you're making a change in your life is to try. The next step is that actually to get on there and start doing something that's constructive. There's an action out there. It's beyond trying. And everything is new. So sometimes we make a step forward, we make a couple steps backwards, but we're still working and working and working. And so what I want to let all of you know is that we do have a special discount for you for our April seminar. And this link will be sent to you when we send you a recording of this call so that you can listen, hopefully, to the good parts that we're able to make it through. But again, it's collective. It's everybody that's out there. It's everybody that's pushing, and you're all trying to move yourself forward. That's exactly what Stewart and I work on every single day, because good can get better and better can get best. And you want to understand that once the mind pattern is installed, it's there and things automatically flow to you. So while we're rewiring the brain, we're rewiring our life in general, there are lots of things that are going to happen. There's going to be a shakeout. There will be people that will come and go. There will be things and there will be events that will come and go in your life because you are reordering everything that's going on. You no longer have to leave your body physically and start a new life stream. You really are changing horse in the middle of the stream, so to speak. You're changing your life, you're redirecting, and you're doing it consciously. And this is something new for most soul personalities that are here. And you're doing it in the midst of very difficult times. Well, you know what? It's the difficult times that force you to take a look at life in a new and different way. And that's what this is all about. Again, if you read our stories, go back to Montauk Alien Connection, look at Blue Blood. There was a time when Stewart and I lived along with a newborn baby in the room the size of what most people have for a bathroom, along with a computer and all of our things. But we were determined to get out of there. We were determined to make a life for ourselves and our family and be able to support ourselves. And now we have a whole worldwide global network that supports us and our research, and we're able to do the things that we love with the people that we love in the way that we love. It has been a struggle. And if you're new to our work and you click on our website and you see us standing there and you listen to what we have to say and you see our books and our products and our DVDs and you think, wow, they've got it made. You know, you have to realize the struggle that we've been through to get to where we are, and we are learning still. Yeah. You have to appreciate where you are in order to move forward.
Another thing is affirmations. Someone asked about affirmations, and my favorite one, and you probably heard me say this many times, is I now attract and receive and accept all the abundance and prosperity of the universe. I'll repeat that. I now attract and receive and accept all the abundance and prosperity of the universe. Write it down. Keep it where you can see it. Think it over and over and over. Let your mind be reprogrammed in the proper way to receive abundance and prosperity at all times. And I even have an exercise, which I did in my last class, where you merge yourself with all your alternate selves in every universe where you exist, where you are abundant and prosperous in every part of your life. So you can even create your own affirmations and do your own merger work with your alternate selves and your other existences where you are completely wealthy and prosperous in all categories of life. I also years ago taught a visualization, if some of you remember, where you, at your pineal gland, create a brown equilateral triangle, with a brown circle inside that equilateral triangle. And inside the circle, you image whatever it is you want to create, what car, job, what have you. And when you see that image inside the brown circle, inside the equilateral triangle, as perfectly as you can imagine it, and you can't think of any other way to make it more perfect, then immediately you put the circle and the triangle and the image all completely in brown, and you put yourself completely in brown, and then you will send it on its way, and you don't even go back to think about it anymore. Because it's kind of like sending a letter. You know, when you send a letter, you don't keep going to the mailbox to look for it to see if it's gone yet, because then you're holding it back. You wait until the letter is gone, and then you wait for the answer. Same thing with the visualization. When you do it completely perfectly and you can't think of another way to make it more perfect, you let it go, and you don't go back into that because you don't want to destroy the energy of what you've just created. Let it go into universe and God mind to create itself and manifest physically the way that you would like it to be. Someone writes in about the wealth and prosperity archetype cards that we create for people, and they wanted to know, besides putting it under the pillow, what's the best way to use it? And so you can put it under your pillow as long as it's facing you, and you can even make smaller images or copies of it and put them facing your body and your clothing so that the energy is with you all day long where you go to work, school, what have you. That image is constantly in your energy field replicating. So you can do it that way. You can even, those of you who have radionics machines, use it as a template for your radionics. Use yourself as the target and use the archetype for wealth and prosperity card as the energy sender, and then you're constantly all day long receiving that energy from radionics. So that's another way that you can do it, and there's so many very creative people out there that I'm sure that they can think of other ways that they can do receive the energy from from prosperity and wealth on the archetype cards.
I like to put mine on under my water bottle, and then my water bottle picks up the frequency and I drink it. And so that imprints me as well with a new wealth and prosperity frequency. And a lot of times, we may have answered this already, but I'm going to repeat it. A lot of times things start shaking up in ways that you hadn't envisioned, because what happens is you have a lot of mind patterns that prevent you from wealth and prosperity in your life. And so it starts shaking up those mind patterns first in order to make it so that the wealth and prosperity can actually get through to you.
That's a good idea about the water bottle, though. I do like that. Oh, and by the way, Dr. Emoto, who experimented with water, said that if you take a glass of distilled water and you keep it in a glass or crystal jar, and then you put the image of what you want to create facing the water, it actually does imprint the water. And then you can drink that, and you're drinking in the frequency of what it is you want to create. So that is also very similar to what Janet was doing with her template. Another person writes in about a personal question that they have, and she says, my husband and I are starting a new stone carving and engraving business and would like advice on the business name to help it succeed. Well, the name is extremely important for any business. I once had a client, and I can tell you this because it's an old story, but the client wanted to name their business, and I won't tell you the whole name, but it had the word knife in it. And I said to them, well, that knife has a very negative energy to people who view that or hear that name, because it makes it feel like they're being attacked or cut. And they said, oh, no, we want that knife. It's the cutting edge. And I said, well, that's not what the knife symbol represents. Well, lo and behold, within a year they were out of business. And they said, you were right, that name, no one wanted to deal with that name. So your name is your frequency. It's very important. And one of the services that we do here at Expansions is I do names and logos, which are very successful for people's businesses. So for this person who asked about their new business, you might want to look into getting a logo and a business name developed by Expansions.
And interestingly, too, when we take a look at things in hyperspace, we take a look from all different directions, like Stewart is mentioning, the simple thing about like the knife. But a lot of times business logos, business names, they have double meanings or triple meanings, and things that you might not have seen yourself. The same way in your life, the same way that you craft your affirmations, the same way that you're working your way through your prosperity challenges, so to speak. So sometimes you do need an extra boost, an extra look at things, and that's what gives you that aha moment. So again, I want to mention to you that we do in April have our upcoming Wealth and Prosperity Seminar, where we will be giving you 2.5 uninterrupted days totally devoted to you, helping you to understand how to create your wealth and prosperity within your own life. And in addition to Stewart and I, we will also be having Tanya Gabrielle, who is a celebrity numerologist, come and talk to you as well, because number frequencies also make a big difference in your life. And of course, we think of wealth and prosperity, we think of numbers. We want to be sure and bring in the perfect numbers to help add to the mind pattern of the perfect wealth. And so there's going to be a special offering, and this offering will be good only through Friday of this week, which will include our seminar in April as well as Tanya Gabrielle's just before ours. So it's actually 4 full days of prosperity power. More tips like this, things that you can use, practical information. You'll be with a group of like-minded people who enjoy working on themselves, chewing on the issue, getting through it, not just surviving, but surpassing.
Now, I have another longer question here, which is actually something everyone should listen to, because I'm sure that you can relate to some of this, what this woman is saying. And she says, I have a question for me and a couple of my friends who are married. How do you stop the people you live with from interjecting their energy into what you are doing and interrupt your financial flow? For instance, a husband who is fearful about being broke, verbalizing what he does not have versus being grateful for what he does have, and a teenager who complains about not having any money when they want to buy a $100 pair of jeans. How do the dynamics of family life interfere, if at all, with one's ability to attract and create wealth? And that's a very good question, and it goes back to what I said in the very beginning. Step number 1, taking responsibility and not blaming other people or using them as an excuse for interfering with your energy flow. Because I want you to remember something else now. Everyone around you reflects you. Even if you don't care for their attitude, it is a reflection of you. So if you are experiencing this so-called interference or interruption in your financial flow, you need to look within yourself to see where you are projecting out lack in life or making excuses for what you don't have or can't get, and that then is reflected back to you by these other people who have these fears and these issues about not having money. So, yes, unfortunately, it's not what you want to hear, but all the people around you are a reflection of you, whether you like it or not. So you need to take a look at that, and it goes back again to doing your release work, your God mind within, your growing up the child within, oversoul work. And again, I'm going to mention deprogramming, because there is a lot of electromagnetic or ELF and microwave out there which is purposely bombarding people with the idea of being less than or having lack. And that's being done on purpose to keep you in a slave mentality, as Janet mentioned earlier. So again, we need to not only do our mental work and release work, but in addition, it's very important now that every single one of us do deprogramming, which is hooked onto the original mind patterns, so that we can eliminate this mask energy that also encourages us to have lack and insecurity. That's very important. Jan, you have anything to add to that?
Well, I think that's a great point. And besides that, I think the issue, too, with a lot of the ELF that's being bombarded toward people, it is directing them to look outside of themselves. And so it's much easier to point the finger at someone else. And what I like to say is, if that's what it is, then you're not ready yet for wealth and prosperity, because these are your blocks. You have to move the blocks first in order to turn into the stepping stone. So you want to go back and see what happened to you most likely in your childhood that you are recreating in your relationships that you now need to work through to open the gateway for wealth and prosperity to come tumbling in. And so it is a process. It can happen overnight, or it might take you some time. The important thing is that you recognize that you are the heart of the matter. It is up to you to change things. And if this is the scenario that's being outpictured by your mind pattern, then it's extremely important that you understand what it is you're outpicturing so that you can go in and correct it. And what makes you feel so good is after you've worked so hard and you've been so challenged to watch things change, to watch the attitudes of people around you change. It absolutely makes you feel like a miracle has happened because you finally have surpassed. You've finally gone beyond surviving. You've butted through that wall of energy and you're on the other side. And that's what makes you really have an aha moment. There is nothing like experience. We can sit here, we can tell you these things, but it's something that you have to experience, you have to know, and you have to get it deep inside of yourself. And then you can write down the 7 steps that you got there. It's no longer repeating what we did, but it's doing what you do and doing it well. So with that, I think that, Stewart, do you have any other questions?
Well, actually I do, and
okay.
one which you might be able to help with because it's about affirmations. And one person writes in, how do they work best? Will they eventually work anyway when you just keep repeating them constantly over and over again over a period of a few months? You know, how people do ask about these affirmations. How do you use them properly?
Well, the basic thing is you want to be very aware of the words that come out of your mouth because words are archetype, tone, and yes, they have color as well. So in the beginning, we do need to repeat them because we are resetting the mind. We are actually rewiring the neural network of the brain because every time you think, there is an electrical impulse that goes through the brain. And when you try to make, and notice I use the word try, when you try to change and redirect the thought pattern, you are really having to force a new neural network pathway through the brain, the gray matter itself. So that's why it's such a challenge. So in the beginning, yes, over and over and over and over again. It's repetitive, 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 repetitive until it's ad nauseum, 24/7, over and over. And that's what pushes you through and helps reset and repattern the brain. And once that happens, then you can let up because it actually exists versus trying to make it happen. Versus working and redirecting the energy itself, you've actually done something on an energetic level which has had a physical effect.
Well, another question a person has here is, will a financial situation always get worse or through a shakeout before it gets better?
And I would say to that, it doesn't have to be that way, but for some reason it seems to be the way that a lot of people learn. And a lot of that is because you are taking what already exists and you are recreating through destruction. You are destroying what you have built. You are pulling the rug out from underneath your foundation or whatever type of foundation you have so that you can build again. So even though it feels like things are getting worse, it really is taking apart what already exists so that you can rearrange and rebuild. So it may feel like it's coming apart, and if that happens to you, you can ask your oversoul and you can say, hey, things are falling apart. Does this mean that now things can come back together in a new and better way? And if so, please redirect me in the new construction. Give me the new affirmations, the new actions, everything that I need to build the life that I want. So if it looks like it's falling apart, it's not necessarily a negative. It is part of the process of moving forward.
And, you know, a lot of people really need to get to the rock bottom of their situation before they do anything about it.
Absolutely. I've been there a billion times, and, you know, I always work on many different issues at one time, and lots of times I find this happening. But instead of being upset about it because I've been through it so many times, I'm understanding, and I think I wrote about this in one of my newsletters, that I don't call it failure, I call it successful redirection. I am being redirected, and that's okay with me. I am okay being uncomfortable in the midst of my discomfort because I am being redirected, and I know that's a good thing. It takes the most energy when you're turning the boat. And so as I'm turning the boat, I know it's going to be a little rough on me, and I'm okay with that. So that's where people need to understand it's okay to be uncomfortable when you're learning, growing, changing, redirecting, rebuilding, reconstructing, renegotiating your life stream. Hey, why not?
And one last question here. Someone writes in, what's the hyperspace symbol for wealth and in what color? And where do you put it or hold it mentally? And so I believe, Janet, don't we have a template for wealth and prosperity on our site?
We do, and we also have personalized ones, which will actually get in there and work on your own mind pattern in a very personal way. But either place, it doesn't matter. You just need to start somewhere. So I'm going to encourage all of you to go onto the website, take a look at the Wealth and Prosperity archetype card that we have, consider getting a personalized complex healing archetype for wealth and prosperity. And I am also going to encourage you to come to our April seminar that's going to be taking place, Prosperity Power. It's going to be an amazing, amazing event. This is just the tip of the iceberg, a lot of information in a very short period of time. But we will be sending you the link for those of you who are listening, and therefore it will take you on to where you need to go.
And, of course, as Janet knows, over the years, a lot of people write in and say, well, I can't make it to the seminar because I don't have the money to come there. Well, that's part of the lack of and a mind pattern of self-sabotage and self-punishment. Because, the same people who say that will go out and splurge money on alcohol or cigarettes or a big dinner out somewhere, and they spend more money on junk than they would have on a seminar that would have helped them to make themselves wealthy and prosperous in every way.
Well, what you have to do a lot of times, too, is you have to break out and make a statement to yourself and take that leap of faith. I have done that many times, and I probably will continue to do that. I know at one point when the things were really bad, I thought, well, I need to sell my house, and I thought, no, if I sell my house, I'm going to keep doing it over and over again. So I believe it or not, I took out a loan and I added on to my house, and therefore the mind pattern followed. So I forced the mind pattern open and put it into a whole different perspective, and I'm grateful that I did that.
I agree. And, you have to spend money to make money, and that's the secret of the very wealthy out there, is that they just spend the money to make more money. And you have to sometimes take a little bit of a chance with what you have and know that the returns will be very much rewarded to you, because it shows that you're willing to open up the mind pattern, break the old patterns, go out on a limb and get what you need.
Okay, well, with that, Stewart, I think that's a good closing point. Again, we will be sending out to all of you links to listen to this again. We will be editing out as much as we can the technical difficulties that we had in the beginning. There will be a link to the April seminar, which was a special offer for these listeners, which will be good through Friday of this week only. So we want you to be sure and check that out, Prosperity Power with Janet and Stewart Swerdlow, as well as celebrity numerologist Tanya Gabrielle. It's a great opportunity to grow with like minds. I myself have grown because of all of you. So I thank you for being out there and helping me surpass my own limitations. I was reading today that it takes students wonderful, awe-inspiring students to make a wonderful teacher. So I think between all of us, we're all learning and growing. So thank you very much again for listening. This is Janet Diane Moria Swerdlow saying goodbye, and
Stewart A. Swerdlow wishing you wealth, health, and prosperity.
Bye-bye.